So we're 2 years in now.
Yeah.
G.I. Joe, continuing to build, continuing to introduce new characters, but it also feels like it's ramping up action. This is like a high octane G.I. Joe that goes far beyond the cartoon.
Yeah.
Remember, man. Was that always intentional? That you really wanted to kind of push the edge of action and character and just dial it up to 11?
Yeah. I mean, the answer is easy. I do feel like it's an action book. I do have to remind myself to slow it down sometimes and make it, not just toys smashing into each other and make it about characters. And that's kind of why we did. I don't know. I see a balance in the book at times. It's like even when we were talking about the Dreadnought War stuff. One of the issues is definitely, I don't want to say slows down because there's still a lot of tension in it. But it has character moments, So that's even with the Baroness cover girl arc. It was like, yes, there's a lot of action in it, but then we also make sure it's all full of character and things like that. But yeah, I always want to just keep on ramping it up. I do feel like Dreadnought Core is crazy, and then it's like another thing's gonna be crazy. So we're building. It's just gonna keep escalating, getting bigger and bigger and bigger. That is definitely the goal of it. It is not a slow build. I don't want to call it that. I guess that's part of it. We don't have this really big plan, so I don't want it to be a slow build. I just want to have a build that we earn, but it's still action-packed every time.
Right. Any worry about not being able to continue to top yourself?
No, but at this point we have such a big plan, and we know what's coming. If anything, it's like I don't know. I get really excited about what's coming all the time. Like some of the stuff, like we'll meet up and we'll talk about some of the plans for the future, and it's like, yeah.
I think with I think what I really liked what Josh did at the end of G.I. Joe Arc 1 and 6 was it ultimately became a very small story about Duke and Cobra Commander and these guys trying to impose their will on each other. So yes, there were huge stakes of the bomb blowing up and all that, but it was ultimately like, who was going to triumph in this? And that it made it a personal story. And that's like, as you see through Dreadnought War, we're continuing the stories that were set up in Duke and Cobra Commander into that first arc, and this is almost like the third act of that.
Yeah. Well, I'm a big. I like going to the theater. I know. So does Sean. Am I allowed to say that?
Sure.
But I like going to the theater, and I think sometimes you go to the theater, like all you need is a stage, right? Like you don't need all these giant crazy set pieces. You can have two great actors on the stage doing a scene together, and it doesn't matter. It could be one spotlight with darkness around them, and it can be amazing. And I always think about that when I'm working on these books. You want that, and then what I want to do is I'm going to take that and then I want to drop it in the craziest things I possibly can. And it always comes down to that. It always comes down to two characters in a room or in a set or whatever having this tense moment. And a lot of my writing really always comes down to that. And so that's even with the stuff we were talking about with Duke and Cobra Commander and some other things that are building. It always comes down to these. A lot of my writing comes down to this: the two characters in a room having to, have conflict with each other. So that's a lot of my work.
Even within the team,
they're
coming together. Guys not getting, having to pull Duke up.
Yeah. And there's gonna be more of that. There's gonna be some more of that. Like there's definitely gonna be some tension among the team. We don't want it to be easy, and there's stuff we were talking about this during the panel. The stuff that we're building, it will continue to have that where it's not easy. We don't want it to be like. Listen, we love the cartoon, we love it. I mean, it was a note that Robert had really early on, where Robert was like, the day we get to the very basic cartoon episodes, Duke, or Cobra versus G.I. Joe, our job is kind of done in a way. We don't want to get to that.
Right.
This is about the build to that. We don't want to just replicate the cartoon. We want to get to that. So yeah.
Did you have a favorite G.I. Joe character, kind of as a kid? I'm assuming you liked this property before you got it.
Kid. Yeah.
Now that you're writing, is it that same character that you're excited to write for, or is there like, oh no, this is much more interesting to write for this person?
I mean, Cobra Commander was my favorite character, so yeah, you could tell, I love writing him the most, and I like all of them, as a kid, I did like Duke, and there's some other characters that I really liked as a kid that I haven't shown yet. You can always tell the characters I liked by the ones that are in the book. I mean, it's funny, there's a couple of characters I really, really love that we didn't put in at the beginning because it didn't make sense yet to get there. And I wanted to build them. There was a note that Sean had really early on. I love Firefly. And in Duke #1, we had Firefly in the background in a page. And Sean was like, why would you do that to Firefly? If you love him, have the best introduction. And it locked in my brain from that moment forward to make sure when we do introduce characters, it's never this background thing.
We gotta get to Firefly.
We'll get to Firefly. I actually don't know where we get to Firefly now, but But that was a big piece of it. But yeah, there are characters that I love. We haven't got to yet but you can kind of tell the characters I like. Like I like Clutch. You can tell which character I really like. I like Baroness as a kid, so it's like you can kind of see the characters that I really like. But there's a few like Mercer.
Is Shipwreck the Aquaman of G.I. Joe?
No, I love Shipwreck. I have a whole plan for Shipwreck. I really like him a lot. We might get to him actually sooner than I thought we were going to, but it'll depend on some stuff. We do have this really big plan, but every once in a while we do. I would never say we pivot, but like you let the story guide you. You don't want to be so locked in that you can't move things when you know it's right for the story. Yeah, we do. I got plans for Shipwreck. I got a whole thing for him. Yeah.
The series is like really stood out to me because it balances the cartoony and the grounded, really, really well. Like, how important was it to kind of bridge both aspects of G.I. Joe?
I mean, yeah, it was really important. I mean, I wanted to feel like G.I. Joe, but I wanted the Energon version of G.I. Joe, And I always write, I feel like my writing is always like does lean a little like Sam Raimi-ish at times, where it can be horror but fun, And I think you look at James Gunn a little bit, it's like my writing, I feel like leans a little bit of that. So on this book, it was like I just wanted to be true to the characters, true to the property, and like what I liked about it, Like that was a big piece of it. It was looking at like what did I like when I was a kid? That's not broken, so not changes. So it was really looking at the stuff I love about the cartoon, and then a lot of the movie. Just looking at the real animated movie and the tone of that is really what I'm always trying to get. Is that specifically
The animated movie.
The animated movie,
not the weird ones.
Yeah, the animated movie. Yeah.
We prefer Stephen Summers on The Mummy and stuff.
Oh, The Mummy is like it's one of my favorite movies. But yeah, anyway.
Shooter is coming to Night Force, which has kind of been the secondary team of G.I. Joes. So what was the decision to kind of do back and forth with Duke's team and this kind of shadowy team? Because I kind of liked Night Force, so I'm just like kind of curious.
I like subplots, and I like doing kind of interlude issues and things like that. And I think if you look at like what Robert would do with Invincible, where he was building out these really long-term subplots, and things would come in and out, and things would do this and stuff like that. And so when I started developing this book, I like that, and you have the room to breathe. Like you have the room to do that. Because sometimes you do books, like I'll call them franchise books. You don't really know how long you're going to be on it for, and it can create a sense of urgency and a feel that like you got to do everything right now. With this, it was because we knew we had this really big plan. It was like, okay, I can actually breathe a little bit. So that meant being able to do interlude issues. That meant being able to build the plot with Night Force. And yeah, I like the way we're rolling it out. You'll see how it builds out. But it's a lot of planning. But I like the way we're doing it, where it's like it's going to build to something. And so I don't know. I like rewarding longtime readers, and I feel like if you are gonna read this for the long haul, like you're gonna be rewarded for it. Like that's how I see it. Like I really like. I don't know. I actually did a reread of Invincible during the pandemic, and the idea that you can read it and then like you get to a point you're like, oh, he was planning this here and this and this. Like I like that kind of stuff. And so with this, I like if somebody decides to do a reread. If they read it and then they go, I'm gonna go back and reread it. To go back to the early issue and be like, holy shit, they were planning this from the beginning. Like that's the stuff that I really register as. Like ultimately, the rule I've always had is I have to like it, And so you look at a lot of stuff. A lot of times you can see my influence on the page, I guess. Yeah.
It's also about we wanted to widen the aperture from just G.I. Joe Cobra to different factions.
Oh, well, that was a big part of it. Was that? Yeah, I forgot about that. So when I was doing my rewatch of G.I. Joe, like he and I had just talked about it in general, and I started rewatching G.I. Joe, and I started realizing how it was a little frustrating that like the first mini is G.I. Joe versus Cobra, and the second mini is G.I. Joe versus Cobra. And it was this thing. And then it was when the Dreadnoughts got introduced, they were just working for Cobra. It wasn't like a completely separate, no Cobra involvement thing. Like they were technically working with them. And I was like, I wish it had been a bit more like there were other villain groups. And I was like, oh, it would be more interesting if it had been like Major Blood was its own thing and Deathstroke was its own thing, like had it built like that, and then find a way to build them together. As we started talking about different factions, but then it was like, oh, what if there were different factions in G.I. Joe as well, right? Like, don't make it as easy as it is in the cartoon. Like in the cartoon, they all just get along. So it was like, no, what if we build different factions among Cobra that will come together, and then we have different factions within G.I. Joe. But again, don't make it easy. Like you're seeing the fact that the Dreadnoks are back, but they're trying to kill Cobra Commander, right? It's not like, we don't want it to be just easy and clean the way it is. But that was definitely a part of the motivation. Yeah.
I'm wondering if you have any insight on this, Sean. We've got a real life Cold Slither. I got a chance to interview Zartan yesterday. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
Did that coincide with Dreadnought War? Like, did you guys do Dreadnought War?
No, I mean we knew about the plans for a while, but we were already working. Like Dreadnought War was always Arc 3. Right?
Yeah, it's been the plan like from day one. Yeah. We almost wanted to go Arc 2, but we knew it wasn't going to work with the story where it was, We just knew we needed to get there, But yeah.
The main thing with that was, we announced that we're releasing a Cold Slither one-shot in October by Tim City and Juan Cabal, and that was... It's not Energon, it's not Real American Hero. It's probably the closest we've done to an animated book, but like it's funny, but it's also a huge emotional core, and there's a ton of action. But yeah, it's cool for Hasbro to give us a peek, and we're like, yeah, we'd love to do a crazy comic and make a variant cover that looks like album art of what a Cold Slither album will look like. And yeah, it's really ambitious that they did. They did all that.
They did all that. It was so crazy. I didn't go, but I saw stuff. I saw the pictures, and I was like, wow, that is bonkers.
Yeah, it's sold out. And the guy that plays Zartan, Gus Rios, he was like, he told me straight up, he's like, I was overwhelmed with emotion because he's got a Cobra symbol tattooed on his wrist.
Oh, for real?
He's a giant G.I. Joe head.
And
now he's playing Zartan.
Yeah.
Dude, I got to see some video of that. I got to see video of it.
You talked about this a little at the panel, but people listening weren't at the panel. Can you talk a little bit about your relationship and how you work with Hasbro? Is there a Bible that you have to follow? Is there rules like, hey, you can't make this person turn bad or anything like that?
I mean, there's brand rules. Like, they are still, at the end of the day, family brands, right? So we try to play within that. Well, they've graciously allowed us to push those limits. But, yeah, we were set up with brand Bibles for both, but we just presented them our plan. They gave us notes, and that's kind of how it is. We present outlines. They see every step of the way. But they've been really supportive, especially with the success we've had. They've sort of given us more freedom. And we talk with their toy teams to be like, hey, these are all things we're doing if you want to do something. And we have a lot of communication with them, So yeah, no, I mean, they've made comics for a very long time, so they understand how it is.
They're really supportive of what we do.
Yeah, I mean, they had to start planning these Void Rivals toys that they're selling now, like basically 2 years ago. So they got on board really, really quickly.
Yeah.
And it's awesome.
One of the characters that feels like it's changed a lot is Cobra Commander. Mm-hmm. And he's not quite the sniveling fool that he was.
Yeah.
I mean, he's sadistic and pretty cold. Why did you kind of go that route? It seems like very psychotic in some ways.
We just wanted to have the Energon Universe version of these characters, and I really love him as a character. And again, we talked before, where it was like, with Duke, it was like I kind of latched on to certain things. Duke is a man of action, so maybe I can translate it as Duke being impulsive, like make him impulsive. And then with Cobra Commander, it was like the one twist could be he's never going to retreat again. And so once we started going, he's never going to retreat again, then I just had his voice in my head about making him like a different character, and I just think it works. It just worked really well to make him dangerous and scary, like make him feel like a real threat, not a joke. Oh, do you? You get
I guess, okay, so you wrote Duke and Cobra Commander trying to kill each other and now they're working together in the Dreadnought War. How fun is it?
It's awesome. Yeah, I love them together. They're crazy together. Yeah, they get, you'll see it.
See ya.
Good to see you too.
Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. We're talking to the same people over and over again. That's fine.
I'm new.
All right.
Yep. So you're taking over as writer of Transformers?
Yes, I am.
Was it just got to the point where, man, these guys were doing a good job, but I can do better?
Definitely not. Definitely not. We knew from the get-go that Daniel was going to do a 24-issue run. That was what he felt like he needed to tell the story he wanted to tell. And we held out hope that we'd be able to, coerce him into staying, but it was a very long process getting to that end, and there was a very long period of time where I knew that there was going to be somebody that needed to step in on issue 25 to continue telling these stories, and I didn't know if I was going to have time. I really wanted to do it. I've loved these characters for as long as I can remember, but I've got the Invincible show, I've got the Battle Beast comic, was already doing Void Rivals, I've got Skinbreaker launching, I've got a lot going on. not an ideal time. But I was like, I got to do it. I love these characters too much. I was, putting together the beginning elements of the Energon universe and figuring out all the starting points for these characters, and had a rough roadmap for Daniel to kind of follow when he was introducing the characters and writing the first issues of Transformers, and it just felt right to come in and guide these characters that I've loved for so long. So, at the end of the day, it was like, I can work nights and weekends. It'll be fine.
You referenced some of your other projects, your franchises you've created kind of new. Talk about the difference between working with your own Invincible, Walking Dead, and working within an existing IP.
I mean, I find it easier because there's a lot of stuff that's already done for you. They're not entirely different because with Transformers and Void Rivals and all the Energon Universe books, we're trying to present these characters in a new light, tell different stories with them, come at these characters from angles you wouldn't expect, and really kind of, present them in a different way. So we're trying to drill down to the new in all of the storytelling that we're trying to do. And so in a lot of ways it is kind of like an original creator-owned thing. And I think the secret sauce of the Energon universe, if I can reveal our internal secrets a little bit, is that we are always trying to find people that will treat these books as if they were their cherished creator-owned project. I think that's true of what Daniel was doing, what Josh is doing, and definitely all the array of artists that are working on the books. And it's definitely true of me. We take these books as seriously, and we put every bit as much effort into these books as we would if they were our creations. So yeah.
You've had a lot of properties turned into toys already, but did it hit a little different seeing your Void Rival creation sitting in a box with Jetfire of this property that's been around for 40 years? Like, I would lose my mind on that.
It's definitely very bizarre, strange, and surreal. It's like Walking Dead is such a blur. It's like I can't even remember the first time I saw a toy of stuff that I had done. It might have even been Invincible Hero Clicks, like so long ago. But yeah, I don't know. Like it is different. Void Rivals was something that Lorenzo De Felici and I created to feel as if it could have existed in the 80s and existed alongside G.I. Joe and Transformers from the beginning. And to see them in the 3 1/4 inch like O-ring figures, the way those old G.I. Joe figures were, and to have it next to Jetfire, which was one of my favorites growing up, which is why I used him in the story, is really just, I don't know. It's definitely another pinnacle moment in a lifetime that has had far too many. And I feel really fortunate to have experienced it. But yeah, it really does mean a lot to me to see these characters interacting.
Void Rivals 25 is bringing the Quintesson War. Would you say that the series has been building up to this moment?
Yeah, I mean, I think that from issue 3 on, in issue 3 we introduced a Quintesson prosecutor in Skuxoid's ship. And, that could have seemed like a little Easter egg, but it kind of set us on this journey that kept having us see Quintessons and experience Quintessons like as the series progressed. And I think once we started revealing the inner workings and origins of the Sacred Ring and how it ties into Cybertronian lore, it came a little bit more clear that, there was a lot more going on here. And a lot of it was involving the history of the Quintessons. And yeah, to a certain extent, it has very much been building up to this storyline from the very beginning. But I will say that being said, it's not like this is an ending that we're reaching. It very well may be, that we're still very much at the beginning, and this sets us on a bigger journey that is, taking us to some even bigger things. So, I don't know, Void Rivals is a transitional book that's always kind of an evolving story, and I think that the Quintesson storyline is really going to speed things up and push us into a new trajectory that is going to make the book bigger and better in a lot of really cool ways. Thanks. Whoa, that sun is killing me. Go ahead.
I love all the the Energon Universe books, but surprisingly, Void Rivals is my favorite. I have a lot of love for G.I. Joe and Transformers.
Thanks.
We're of a similar age, so it's almost like I'm bringing emotion that's baked in for nostalgia. But I find that I connect and care about the Void Rivals characters. There's so much emotion there, and the fact that the leaders are keeping them apart. Like, that's just it's amazing. I can get in my feels when I Void Rivals. How do you think that you approach that in terms of you don't have the built-in? We don't know these characters. We saw them in the comics at the
Right.
time, but yet they've reached that level. What do you kind of attribute that to? Do you think?
I mean, I think that Lorenzo De Felici's design work for all these characters is absolutely amazing. I mean, even down to like the Blastwing vehicle and the jump jets and things. It's like I would just write, I want them to have a unique vehicle that could have been a toy in the past, and he's just like, okay, cool. I created this thing, and it's the kind of thing that would take an entire team of people in the 80s and all kinds of notes from department heads and, well, maybe it should be this, maybe it should be that. And with us, we're just like zipping through this stuff, and he's just, throwing things out. And now that Connor Hughes has drawn the book, he's introducing some things into the world that's really cool. But I don't know. I mean, I think we've been very fortunate. I mean, we tried to backwards engineer Void Rivals to be a thing that, would have fit with them. And I think we really lucked out with some of the decisions we made, because it does seem to kind of dovetail in pretty nicely.
Well, I've given you plenty of credit for the scripts too. I mean, these are emotional moments.
Oh yeah, thank you so much.
Because I think we had talked the first year when it come out about that little enemy mine.
Yes.
Definitely got enemy mind. Okay. One of the things I like about Void Rivals is how you slide in Transformers, but they feel like they were the ones that were supposed to be there. You don't have Optimus hanging out there. What are your touch points from Transformers culture that you're trying to work through? Because there's been a lot of shows, a lot of movies and versions. Like, what is your Transformers that you're kind of channeling?
I mean, I don't know. I was into Transformers from day one. I think that having the, seeing the Autobots on Earth and all that kind of stuff was always very cool. I think that the Transformers movie in 1986 really kind of kicked things off for me in a different way.
Did it scar you like it scarred me?
I mean, I think that you can see those scars in all of my work. I mean, I was 8 years old when I witnessed Optimus Prime's death in a movie theater. It was crazy, and everything about what I want from storytelling can be traced back to that movie, because I want to feel that experience. I want to, have things happen that I could never have anticipated in everything that I experience. And so that's what I try to do in my storytelling. But I don't know, after that movie, I feel like that season 3 stuff that introduced all the sci-fi characters and had more aliens and space stuff and weirdness was, the more sci-fi element of it was just really, really cool. And so I think that's why you can see that stuff cropping up the most in Void Rivals. But I like all eras of Transformers, so...
you want to share your announcement that you shared at the panel today about who's coming to...
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Transformers Animated, so we've announced today at the panel that Bulkhead is going to be a new character entering in Transformers 25. So and we'll see, more characters like that as we go on that didn't necessarily interact with the G1 characters, in that specific storyline. So, and it'll show that the Energon Universe really is going to be an amalgam of so many different elements to these characters' lore that have existed, for many, many years.
So it seems like in a lot of your work it's very similar themes. Walking Dead, Skinbreakers, and Void Rivals.
Sure.
Void Rivals is all building off like a society or trying a new direction out of utter crap.
Okay, cool.
Right? Like they do kind of have a very similar concept. Is that something that you think about, or is that just like an interesting topic to you?
Well, I mean, I think you could am I happy with where, from my perspective, it appears society is going? Not really. I think that there's a lot of things going on in the world that are not ideal, and so when you're writing fiction, you tend to want to do things that are more positive than your experience, to play off what people are experiencing, give them kind of hope. I'm trying to write hopeful stories, so I think anyone who is trying to make the world a better place, I think is that's a worthwhile endeavor, and I think those are worthwhile stories to tell.
Okay, I know it. I got it. Void Rebels 25 is saying Andre Bresson, who did Cobra Commander and a few issues of G.I. Joe, hopping on, and of course Transformers 25 as Dan Mora. And I'm just like, how do you find these artists? Do you like talk to them, or do they want to say, hey, I want to draw Transformers?
Yeah, I mean, I we get to know all the artists that we work with, and we end up building some kind of a form of a Rolodex where it's like, okay, like who does good action, who does this, who can tell great emotional stories, who does good world building, and we're able to contact them and say, okay, now we need this in the book, or we need that in the book, or things like that. But and it's really just we get to know these people, and we really respect them, and we know that they can do great work, and so anytime that they're available, we try to find something for them. I think that's the case with Andre. Anytime he needs something to draw, Skybound will find something for him because we think he's so great. I mean, he's done Birthright, Dark Ride, Destro, and now Void Rivals for us, among some other things. And yeah, I mean, we always love working with him and continue to do so for a good long time. So we're always on the lookout for great new artists. I think Connor Hughes is another good example of that on Void Rivals now. And yeah, we'll hopefully continue that tradition on Transformers and G.I. Joe and whatever else we're able to do. Cool. Sneak it in.
Yeah, keep going until she yelled at us.
So specifically with the scripting, right? Because you've been planning, along with Daniel, the direction of the overall plot of Transformers. But now you're coming on. How worried are you about consistency of voice and making sure that they sound the same?
Well, that's my job. So yeah, I think that I'm very worried about consistency of voice. I want to assure the fans. I think people were happy with how I wrote Retgar in Void Rivals 19, and I think I got Wheelie to be like a fairly accurate when he was showing up in Void Rivals. I think that maintaining the established characterizations of these characters is really important to me, and that includes what Daniel was able to do in Transformers before me. Like I said on the panel, this is issue 25 for a reason. It's not a new issue 1. If you would like to not look at the credits page and pretend that there hasn't been a creative changeover in the writer's slot, I am working to try and make that a possibility. Like, I really am trying to take the ball and run with it after Daniel hands it off. I think that that's the way that comics were done traditionally. This new era of every new creative team change is a new issue 1 and a new direction for the book, and everything's going to be different now. I think is not ideal. Some cases it's great, some cases it's not. But I think having a consistency to the run and if a creative team can't write 300 issues, I think the creative teams should put an effort into making sure that those issues are as cohesive as possible. And so that's something that I spend a tremendous amount of time maintaining, because it's something that would be really, really important to me as a fan. And so that's going to make me put the extra time in to make sure that it happens. Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, you gotta take those.
Is this over the video? How am I looking? Am I decent?
You look fantastic.
I once did a whole interview with Moleskin, and I had shit in my beard, and they didn't tell me. And then they asked me to retweet all their stuff, and it was shit in my beard. And I was like, I'm not retweeting that.
Post-production. That's what post-production's for.
Looking nice.
Incredible. It's like wiggling. It's terrible.
Well, the end of a long journey for you, coming to the end of Transformers, but a bucket list project.
100%.
And so, are you able to? Because you're so close to the end, are you able to look back on it yet, or do you think it's going to take a little time before you can look back and appreciate it?
I don't know if I'll really sink in until I read the trade paperback of my last issue, or the last arc 4, so the 4th trade. I find that's when I digest things the most with my work, is when they're fully collected and I can read them all the way through. I won't lie, when the comps come in, a lot of times I miss them. My wife puts them in storage before I even open them. But I always try and make a point to read my trade paperbacks and see how it reads all together. And that's sometimes when I get the feelings. Because even now, I've been finished writing Transformers for a while, but I haven't really digested it yet. So it'll happen soon. Ask me in a few months.
Yeah, next time I see you.
Yeah.
So, as a longtime Transformers fan, I can tell you definitely love Transformers.
Yes.
And I'll ask you further questions about that. But it also seems like you hate Transformers because you kill a lot of them.
That's true.
Talk to me about that. And I don't know if you were like shaped by that movie where Prime died or what. But it seems like there's a lot of like moments, like from the first page almost, from like, what is going on with this series?
Oh, 100%.
Were you announcing something with that?
I'll say this. I said it in the panel, but the 86 movie, Tone Bible, and, Wheeljack, like, just brutally just dropped onto the floor, his dead body, no goodbye, nothing. And it's not like I was, like, celebrating that in the comics, but, I wanted a little bit of that vibe. And also, just kind of really raised the stakes. And with Bumblebee specifically...
Yeah, I didn't want to spoil it. That's what it was.
No, it's all good. I really don't like it when I watch movies or television shows especially, where, like, characters kind of, like dance around something, or the editing or the way the story envelops. It's like the creators are kind of playing with the fact that they could do something bad. I'll call it out specifically. When a Homelander has the like fantasy of burning down all the people in front of the podium, and you find out it wasn't actually real, like in
the fantasy sequence.
Yeah, the fan. I was just like, all right, I'm done with this. It's just come on, let's go. So
was there something about Bumblebee in particular? That
no, it's just like, what would Starscream do? Who would be the closest Autobot next to him? Boom. That's what he would do. Full stop. No ifs, ands, or buts. That's kind of how I like writing. So, yeah.
Every review, I think I've called the comic brutal. Like, it's a hell of a hit.
Thank you.
When writing it, like, have you thought about, like, the people who were watching the cartoon when it first came out? Because they're in their 30s and 40s now. I mean, did you think that the audience is going to be mature and older, and this isn't necessarily for kids?
The only thing that I was thinking about when it came to the audience was making sure that we had a good on-ramp for everyone to be able to enjoy the story with issue 1. Other than that, I can honestly say I did not think about anybody else except the story that I wanted. It was like horse blinders, because it's just like I just knew the story that I wanted to tell. I knew the vibe, I knew the tone, I knew what I wanted it to look like, and I just knew it was going to be awesome. Like, I was very confident, and I don't want my confidence can definitely be shaken, and I've definitely had some long nights of the soul, wondering if this book is any good. But I don't think about the market or who might be reading it, who might not. I'm just making something that I hope is special and that I believe in, and hopefully that'll translate to people getting excited about it.
One of the images that always stuck out to me from this run was, for a while, Optimus had Megatron's cannon arm. Was that always part of the plan? Or?
No. I had Optimus having multiple different arms. There were a bunch of different ideas, some that Hasbro liked more than others, some that they did not like at all.
Can you spoil on what those were going to be?
One was, sure. Skywarp's head on a chain, like connected to his arm.
I don't know why Hasbro wouldn't sign up on that.
I know, Hasbro was like, it's a little dark, and I was like, really? Okay. And I had actually drawn, this is a repeat of the panel, but I'll say it again. So I was workshopping different things that might fly, and I had drawn Optimus with a Megatron cannon, being like, I wonder, no, there's no way they'd say yes to this. And I was like, Sean Mackiewicz actually pitched to me a few months later, what about the Megatron cannon arm? And I was like, I would say yes to that, and we got it through. So it actually worked out. It was kind of like the Bumblebee thing, where Hasbro just kind of had the vibe that they wanted, and everything just kind of fit together. Very simpatico stuff.
So they don't mind you killing people off, Hasbro?
Not really, no. They've been pretty chill about any sort of deaths. I think they know it's comics too. So nobody gets revived in my story, but I can't speak to what will happen in the future.
Yeah, I mean, it really is kind of a more complicated story, let's say,
Sure.
Than you would get in the cartoons. Maybe for a different audience. Because in the cartoons, all the Autobots they all get along. That's not necessarily the case. Is that fun for you to have even people on the same team that are kind of going at each other at times?
It is. Just depth of storytelling, getting to go a little deeper than maybe the show would allow. And yeah, like I wasn't really thinking about it, but for myself as a fan, I know that I don't really want to watch the TV show. I don't really get anything from it now, except for the designs and the nostalgia. But I do want to see these characters that I love in new circumstances that kind of not challenge me as an individual, but that I can get excited about. So this comic was kind of the goal of that, And I do still deeply appreciate the movie, the '86 movie. It feels darker, feels, whether it was from cold capitalist must dump one line of toys for the next. I don't know, it just works for me. I think I'm going to probably rent out a theater and invite my friends to watch it as a celebration for my last issue.
That'd be great.
Oh, it's going to be fun. A lot of pizza.
One of the weird things about the original cartoon was that you had the first episode, they're on the ship, there's 6.
Yep.
And then every once in a while, new people are showing up.
Sure.
Where'd you come from? And you seem to have come up with some great ways of getting around that.
Sure.
So describe how you came up with that, because there's the original, how you come around, then some other people come in.
Yeah, it was just a lot of that actually was Robert's idea. The whole cast that we would be using was on the Ark.
But they weren't there yet because you had to repair them, so it wasn't so obvious who was around you.
Exactly,
That's what I
so I remember specifically there was a note. I think it's in issue 2 where they're working on somebody's body. Maybe it was Wheeljack or something, and there's a pile of bodies, and I had to make them less recognizable so we could really be free. And of course, then there was the Beachcomber storyline, which was really fun. Somebody getting tossed off the Ark on its way to Earth. That was a blast. Just finding different ways, fun ways to kind of introduce different characters and make it a surprise.
I thought that was really cool, so kudos.
Thank you very much.
So one of the interesting kind of going with that is you seem to address a lot of the holes in the cartoon.
Oh, sure.
I mean, the fact that they are energy, they don't have the power to do what they want.
Yeah.
It's not unlimited. And was that something that you really thought about? It always irritated me watching the cartoon, but you seem to have addressed it really well.
Yeah, because the energy is kind of the MacGuffin.
Right.
Energon is the MacGuffin that kind of drives things forward. Everybody kind of wants it. And it's a great story excuse to be we can't do that. We don't have enough Energon. So just logistically, as a vessel for storytelling, that was just really great. And I was very thankful for that. And also, Energon is such a huge part of the Transformers lore anyway. It's very readily accepted. I don't have Energon. That sentence is accepted universally by comic book fans across the world. And it just helps me tell the stories I want to tell in a more efficient way. And just great for making fight scenes. So
I love that you kind of layered in Megatron's appearance. He doesn't show up. He kind of, as this skeleton comes in, he's wrecked from West and Cobra Commander. So was that always the plan, or did you want to use him earlier on?
the plan was to push Megatron's appearance as far away from the beginning as possible. I don't know if maybe it was like Arc 2, maybe he was going to show up, maybe originally, but just the way the story evolved, it just really worked for him to show up when he did at the end of Arc 3, right? Yes.
Yeah, Arc 3.
Yes. So that was pretty organic, and it was kind of just figuring things out as we went, but it was, before I even started, Skybound was like, we really would like Megatron to not be here at all.
Oh, they didn't want him either.
No.
To let other characters grow, or because Megatron fatigue, or what's going on with it?
Oh, not Megatron fatigue. I think it was just one of those things where it's like, hey, it's like an air of mystery, where it's like culturally and contextually, everybody's thinking, where is Megatron? And just like building the tension from that. It was really cool. A great idea. Once I heard that, I was like, 100%, I love it. I was bummed I didn't get to draw Megatron a ton, but that's a small price to pay for what I feel is an incredible payoff, and especially coming up at the end of Arc 4.
We got a 2-issue origin of Starscream.
Yes.
He was always the character of the cartoon. He was so whiny, just loved to hate him. But you kind of made him sympathetic. Like, I kind of felt bad for him, when he went through or whatever. So much fun was building that out.
That was awesome. And I didn't really want to redeem Starscream. I just kind of wanted to explain where he came from and kind of hinting at maybe some sort of otherworldly power that Megatron has when it comes to that gun mode and choosing Starscream as that vessel. So it did multiple things at once, and I'm really happy with how it came out. Yeah. Thank you.
Kind of, well, I don't know if it was your answer or the answer of the panelists, but it was discussed in panels. Is there a character that you just couldn't get in that you really wanted to?
Grimlock, the Dinobots.
Is that your answer?
That is officially my answer, actually.
Because everyone in the audience was like, do you want the Dinobots?
I know. I cannot speak to the Dinobots showing up. I've talked with Robert a little bit about what's coming after, because we've had to kind of do the handoff. But as far as I know, no Dinobots yet. It's coming. I'm sure it's coming. I wanted to put them in, but I was given the yellow light, which makes a lot of sense. And so, I don't know. But I will be reading and actively awaiting Grimlock. And I'm going to be doing covers for a while, and the goal is to stay on Transformers covers as long as I get to Grimlock.
So if they keep pushing it out, they'll get more covers.
Maybe. I probably shouldn't say that out loud, but here we are.
Would you come back and write it?
I'll never say never. Never say never.
So there's been an interesting shift in some of the characters, right? The Optimus, we kind of get hints that he was much more brash when he was younger.
Sure, yeah.
Alita is cold-blooded.
Yeah.
And then you got Ultra Magnus, who's straight up PTSD.
Yeah.
How much did you want to go in and change up characters and explore different aspects of them?
I was just kind of trying to place the characters in different situations and see how they react differently. Being tortured for 200 years has got to mess with your mind a little bit. Poor Ultra Magnus. Sorry, bro. Alita's been stuck fighting a guerrilla war for however many years without Optimus, feeling abandoned. And Optimus is torn between this new place that he loves and his old home and trying to make everybody happy at the same time, which is virtually impossible. And but he has this drive and vision and desire to still care for every single thing around him to the point where it's impossible, seemingly impossible. So some would say naive. I don't think I would say that, but other characters would, and it just makes this great tension amongst all Autobots, kind of like you're saying. So just a blast to write. And honestly, all those the things I all kind of mentioned, except for Ultra Magnus getting tortured, they're all kind of in the Transformers, not lore, but there's been so many iterations of the character, so many different comics, TV shows, animated, movies, whatever. They're just kind of pulling from the air almost when it comes to the Transformers contexts. And it really is a great way to tell stories because people have an expectation and allows me to either run with what people expect or maybe run counter to it as well. So, same thing happened with Thundercracker, from the IDW days. And that was something that I really loved about the character. And I was like, I don't know if I need to do anything different here. It just really fit with the story I was telling, and I'm happy it came through that way.
I love Jorge Corona's art.
Yeah, so good.
Awesome. How do you come on the book, and how that switch handled? How'd you handle that switch from writing and drawing to just writing?
Yeah, I was Skybound was the one that did the official green light on Jorge, which I was super excited about because I loved his work, and he's of course knocked it out of the water, just as you said, knocked it out of the park.
Water.
You got me thinking about Shockwave and torturing Ultra Magnus, which happens everything happens kind of in the Pacific Ocean. Anyway, it was tough at first because I was having to write basically the end of Arc 1 and be outlining Arc 2. And then before I was done with the art of Arc 1, I was having to write Arc 2. So things were really coming down the pipe all at the same time. So, I did my very best with issue 7. And Jorge came along and just hit a grand slam. And he's so easy to work with. He's amazing. We just got the inks for issue 24. They are blow away. They're just so good. It's all so good, man. And Mike Spicer too, just on my lines and Jorge's, just elevating every single thing. It's so bright, so vibrant, so much fun. Love it.
Yeah, Jorge does that thing with the ink splatter when we're talking about machines fighting and stuff flying everywhere.
Yeah, totally.
It works perfectly. So, making that transition and bringing someone else on, I mean, it's always a challenge, but was it easier vibing with somebody? I mean, creating comics is already kind of a solo thing when you're writing and drawing. Now you have a collaborator to talk story and story beats and plot. So, did you enjoy it more? Is it different? Was it easier?
I would say it's different. I'd say maybe my scripts are a little more detailed than when I draw them. I draw pretty much full scripts I write pretty much full scripts for myself when I'm drawing something. So it wasn't too big of a difference. Every once in a while, I would make like a little map, like on the Pacific Ocean when that big battle was happening. I was like, Optimus Prime's here, and Ultra Magnus is over here, and the portal's right here. And literally just drawing it out for Jorge. And if there was something that I really specifically wanted, I'm thinking now of the end of the moon sequence with Beachcomber, where we show time passing by the panels getting skinnier and skinnier and skinnier. That was my idea, and I actually sketched that into the script and followed it to the letter. And there've been a few times where he's like, "Hey, I had this other idea, and what do you think?" And we've gone back and forth a few times, and it's just been amazing. He's just really good at storytelling. He's really cinematic, and he gets it. I don't need to explain things to him. So he just makes my life very easy, which I'm very thankful for. Thank you, Jorge.
Transformers is part of the Energon Universe.
Sure.
And when you read it, you kind of see how they start connecting even early on. How do you make sure your titles interact, kind of flow together, crossover stuff? Are you getting the details? Hey, work this guy in here? Like, what's going on with that?
The only mandate that I had to do was put Duke in issue 2.
That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, which I was really happy to do because I was just like, oh, this would be a fun little shout out, which doesn't get in the way of the story, So that was really fun, but honestly, except for the Duke scene, I was just kind of left to my own devices, I think Skybound's done a really good job of kind of having these 3 different titles go in their own direction, and eventually they are going to more severely interact, but I think Robert was very smart in just kind of wanting a Transformers title that really carried on by itself for a long time in a way that doesn't need any other support or anything, so super exciting, and I had a great time. I didn't really have to do much, is what I'm saying. My job was easy.
One thing that has stood out to me is, from the cartoon, I always got the feel that Optimus was just the ultimate leader, right? Just no one questioned him. And in yours, you've got a lot of people question him.
Yeah.
Like Cliffjumper early being like, why?
Yep.
You've got to lead him.
Ratchet too.
Ratchet, everyone has questioned him.
Yeah.
Was that kind of important to maybe bring him down a peg and maybe ground him a little bit more?
Yeah, definitely. I was taking, Megatron, Optimus Prime has this kind of, I was kind of talking about before, almost a naivete. I was trying to push that to the test and see just how far it can get stretched before something blows up in his face or someone else's. So it was definitely intentional, and I'm glad you picked up on it. All right, last one. All good.
Favorite scene to write?
Favorite scene to write?
Yeah, favorite scene to write and or draw.
I think issue 23 and issue 24, I really had a good time. By that time, I was kind of really almost on the off-ramp. You're sliding down the slide. The work's been done, and you're just rolling to the finish line. That felt really good. I'm really excited about 24, but I'm so proud of 23. It's going to be the 2 best ending issues you've ever read, I think. I'm pumped.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.